Are you trying to conceive or wondering if you may be pregnant? Well, today I'm going to dive into the very first few weeks of pregnancy and some of the symptoms that you actually might experience during this time. So let's find out what to look out for. First things first, let's try to understand what's actually happening in your body during these first few weeks. Now, although it's probably too early to take a pregnancy test during the first few weeks, your body is still already going through a lot of changes that you may actually detect in some of the symptoms that you feel. Now, if we take a step back, right after that egg and sperm combine to make that early pregnancy, it journeys through your fallopian tube and into the lining of your uterus where it attaches. And once it attaches, then you'll start to experience some of these early signs that we'll talk about next. So, what are some of these early things that you may notice in the first few weeks? Well, one of the first ones is something called implantation bleeding. And a lot of women actually mistake implantation bleeding for their period, but it's actually light bleeding that many women experience, and this is due to that early pregnancy attaching to the lining of the uterus. Some of the giveaways that this is implantation bleeding and not actually a regular period include the fact that implantation bleeding is usually lighter than a regular period and usually it only lasts 1 or 2 days. The next one we'll talk about is fatigue. Now, feeling tired is actually one of the most underestimated symptoms that I think many women experience in pregnancy. A lot of people go in maybe expecting some of these symptoms that I'll talk about, but the level of fatigue can be a little bit surprising. And this is a common early symptom that's happening due to the higher levels of a hormone called progesterone that's in your body. And the progesterone is really working to help to support your early pregnancy, but it can cause you to feel a little bit more tired than usual. Another change in your body that you may notice is a rise in your body temperature. So a rise in your basal body temperature, if it's something that you're tracking, could also be an early sign that you may be pregnant. If your temperature stays elevated for more than 2 weeks or so, then it could be an early sign of your pregnancy and not just changes in your body temperature that are going up and down. The next one that we'll talk about is something that many women are more familiar with, and this is nausea. So nausea can actually start as early as the first few weeks of pregnancy, although it's more common a bit later. But you may notice that you may feel queasy or have an aversion to certain foods or even certain smells. And so these subtle changes that are going on can actually be an early sign that you're actually pregnant. Now, another thing that many women can experience as an early symptom of pregnancy is mood swings. Many hormonal changes are happening in the early stages of pregnancy, and these can actually cause you to feel more emotional or even more irritable than you usually are. And so if you're finding that you're on a little bit more of an emotional roller coaster, then this could actually be an early sign that you're pregnant. The next early sign that we'll talk about in pregnancy are food cravings. Food cravings or even food aversions can also pop up pretty early in pregnancy, and you might find that you're suddenly craving foods that you never eat, or even that you're finding foods that you usually love and enjoy eating suddenly unappealing. If these things are happening, these may be signs that you actually are pregnant. Another common thing that some women experience early in pregnancy is mild cramping in their abdomen or even a sense of fullness in their lower abdomen. And this is happening because your uterus is growing and it's starting to expand, and it's really starting to make room for that growing baby. And it can cause that sensation that some women actually feel pretty early on in the pregnancy. The last thing that we'll talk about is a symptom that's not always super fun, and that's feeling lightheaded or dizzy. This can happen because of changes that are going on in your blood pressure or even changes that are going on in your blood volume. So if you are experiencing these symptoms and you think you may be pregnant, please be sure to stay hydrated and try to move a little bit slower than usual, especially when you're going from sitting to standing up. So if you're noticing any of these symptoms and you think that you may be pregnant, I'd recommend that you go ahead and take a home pregnancy test after you miss your period so you can get the most accurate results at home. It's also really important to make sure that you check in with a healthcare provider to confirm your pregnancy so you can get personalized advice and support for healthy pregnancy. Remember, every woman's body is different, so you may experience none of these symptoms or even all of them. Everyone's unique. So if you have any concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to your healthcare provider. But I just wanted to share these things with you so it can help you to understand what some symptoms are like during the first few weeks of pregnancy and what to look out for. If you're pregnant and you'd like to find out more about what foods not to eat in pregnancy, take a look at my checklist that I created about 10 foods to avoid in pregnancy at badpregnancyfoods.com, or you can find it at the link below in the description box. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and also please share any comments that you have down below. I love hearing from you. See you at the next video.